AITA for telling the truth about my half-sister did and getting her banned from the house. My F23 dad had an affair while my mother was pregnant, and he and his AP Jen had Abby F22. My parents split, and my dad and Jen got together. I never grew up hating Jen and or Abby thanks to therapy since I was 4, but I only saw them sporadically growing up. My grandparents' dad's parents didn't take the affair well. Their relationship with my dad never fully healed. Jen is not allowed in my grandparents' house. Abby was for family events, but after Jen found out my grandparents were not giving Abby a trust fund, Abby stopped coming when she was 7. After that, no one in the family except me and my dad had contact with her. A couple of years ago, my grandmother passed away. Jen didn't attend the funeral, but Abby did. After this, Abby started coming to family events with my dad again. The most recent of these was an extended stay at my grandfather's main residence, which is in Italy. In that house are all my grandmother's personal effects, including her dressing room, which has remained largely untouched since her death. My grandfather allows me and my aunts to borrow things from her closet, but he's very particular about the state of the room being preserved. For example, we aren't allowed to sit at her vanity, which still has all of her old perfume bottles and photographs on it. We always ask before we go in, and we let him know what we're taking before we leave. So, a few days before my dad and Abby were due to leave, I came upstairs and noticed the door to the dressing room slightly open. I went in and found Abby going through the drawers. When she saw me, she froze, and I noticed her was wearing one of my grandmother's watches. Abby has been told not to go in the room, and to my knowledge up until that point she never had. I asked what she was doing, and she stuttered that she was just looking, which obviously she wasn't since she was also wearing. We were standing there in silence, both unsure of what to do, when my grandfather walked in and went ballistic. He noticed that she'd move a couple of things in the room, and was wearing the watch, and this made it worse. He said Abby had to pack her things and get out, and that she wasn't allowed back. My dad came back from lunch to this scene, and there was a lot more shouting, but eventually my dad and Abby left to a hotel and flew back the next day. My dad is now angry with me, saying I hung Abby out to dry and that I should have lied and said I'd brought her in there with me so that she wouldn't get in trouble and that my grandfather wouldn't have kicked me out. I didn't know that he was going to kick her out, and obviously I didn't want that, but I also don't think it was up to me to lie about doing something I didn't. My dad and I usually talk most days, but he's replying to me sporadically now, so I'm starting to think maybe I'm in the wrong.